我现在人在兰屿，兰屿位于台湾东部太平洋外海，也是原住民族达悟人的家园。台湾四面环海，海洋不是限制想象的边界，而是连结世界的道路。
Hello, I'm Zhe Guowei. I'm the founder of Taiwan science education platform, TenSci. In this episode of Taiwan Keywords, I came to Oki Island. From the Ipanatika to Taiwan Jade, I'm taking you to rediscover the oceanic Taiwan.
大家如果看兰屿的岛，它整个也是跟台湾一样四面环海。海洋民族在兰屿是一个生活行为模式。兰屿是整个亚洲、东南亚或者是南岛唯一还有在造舟，工法跟雕刻是非常严谨，而且非常繁复。一些名称或者禁忌都是会跟我们岛上族人的生活有密切关系。
Dadala is the name of Ipanatika in Dao language. It is a boat traditionally made and used by the Dao people. For the hull of the Dadala, the big Dadala is made out of 27 wooden planks. The small Dadala is made out of 21 wooden planks. Each plank is made of different materials according to its position and function. On the Dadala is filled with cultural images of the Dao, such as those round totems placed on the bow and the stern of the boat, which are painted in the traditional red, white, and black color scheme of Oki Island. Like the eye, it is used to guide the Dadala in the sea and ward off disaster. That is why it is called the Eye of the Dadala.
这一块最硬的这个，我们叫龙骨哈。我们这个树的树种大概就是用所谓的龙眼树，我们叫嘉义哈。龙眼树这个为什么要最硬？因为它出海的时候，它是第一个接近碰到石头或者是海，需要非常强大的韧性。这一块它就要储存渔获。这个木钉哦，我们叫发拉登，发拉登。当这个木钉钉下去，这个船就会平平安安的回来，平安的回去。可以了哈。好。过去几百年，东南亚或者是南亚群岛，船只都非常密集。所以兰屿在南岛语系或在南岛族群是占有非常大的角色，尤其它的平板舟，它象征过去在南岛都是靠船来不断的交易。平板舟出海，它有很多的规定，你不能捕所谓的深海鱼或钓鱼。为什么？这是一个永续经营的观念，所以对于海洋是非常保护，因为它是我生活上我要生活的东西，我要吃的东西，所以我不能随意的去破坏。
台湾什么时候开始出现人类活动？史前人类又是如何来到台湾？这些问题带我们来到台湾最古老的考古遗址——长滨文化遗迹。长滨文化遗址是台湾所发现最古老的考古遗址，经过碳14鉴定，约在3万年前是一个以狩猎和采集为生的社群。
Archaeologists have speculated based on the materials remained. The population of Changbin culture was small. They mainly lived in the sea caves by the sea, and they were known to use fire. They made stone tools by hammering. How did the people from that time came to Taiwan? Some scholars speculate that when the Earth entered a freezing ice age, the sea level dropped. Between Taiwan Island and the Asian continent, a land bridge was created to connect, so that humans could walk across the Taiwan Strait directly from the Asian continent to the Taiwan Island, and lived on the eastern coast where the warm glacial current flows.
3万年前，人类跨海移民到台湾，这是台湾第一代先民。可惜长滨文化遗址留下的记录不多，在考古记录上留下断层空白。直到5000多年前，再次有新的人群抵达台湾，也就是我们今日所知的南岛语族。
Austronesian is a linguistic concept. A language is like a mutation. As languages are spoken, differences accumulate. Following the thread back in time thousands of years ago, something amazing is discovered. Taiwan, more than 5,000 years ago, may have been the hometown of Austronesian languages.
南岛这2个字，它是从语言学开始起来的，所以我们讲南岛语族，它其实是语言，它不是血缘，它是一个语言家族。台湾在这一整个语言家族分布的范围里，是一个很重要的节点。根据考古学还有语言学的理论推测，古南岛语是从台湾发展起来的，成为这一整个区域非常强势的语言，开始扩散出去。但这不等于说人是从台湾出去的，而是语言。
Linguists have found that the distribution of the Austronesian is divided into several major language groups. Taiwanese Austronesian languages is the oldest one, according to the analysis of linguists. We can outline the spread of the Austronesian languages. The ancestors of the Austronesian-speaking peoples arrived in Taiwan more than 5,000 years ago. More than 4,000 years ago, some of them left Taiwan to the Philippines. 3,500 years ago, they arrived in Indonesia and the Mariana Islands, completing the world's longest voyage across the ocean. Then, the journey went on to the Indian Ocean and the Oceania. Each continued to move forward. 2,900 years ago, they moved to Tonga in Oceania. Finally, Madagascar, Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, and other islands became one of the most distributed language families in the world.
岛是船，海是路，大家因为海而串联起来。
It is amazing that there is a strong cultural connection between Taiwan and the huge island communities of the South Pacific. Taiwan seems to be the end of Eurasia to the east, but it is also the starting point, moving away from the mainland to the ocean.
我们这是来的地下屋啦，我们叫做发位，它前面有一个这个石头，可以坐坐看。
所以是个很舒服的椅子。
因为我们来的祖先要看海，都要看它的海象怎么样。
看着海讨论大事。
你要叫前廊，还未婚的男子都有1门。那你结婚之后就会开2个门，那到3个门或者到4个门，表示你已经有孙子了。
这边是前廊，
然
后这边是
前室。你看上面可以发现一些动物的标本，
对，
你去看这个主人他的战绩啊，都是放羊居多。为什么？羊代表是财富，所以它羊越多，表示它的钱财越多。后室主要功能就是中柱跟区飞的地方，这个叫中柱。中柱跟柱子连在一起，代表它是很重要的支撑，代表这个房子的灵魂。
老师，据说我们这边跟邻近的菲律宾巴丹岛那边文化跟语言很相近。
像我们在我们村庄就有一个我们的叔叔长辈，他娶了一个巴丹岛的一个女生，她的语言就是跟我们是相似60%，所以他们过去的时候跟那边的对话是可以对话的。
The ancestors of the Dao also had a lot of contact with the Badang Island in the Philippines. The language they speak is closer to Badang Island. It's more different from Taiwan's native island. The Austronesian-speaking peoples in Taiwan continues to communicate with the world besides language and culture. More and more archaeological evidence is found. We also found more traces of interaction between the Austronesian communities. Next up, we are coming to the Beinan Cultural Park in Taidong.
这里是卑南遗址公园的考古现场，它是目前国内少数在现地可以展示新石器时代生活的聚落结构遗留的空间。卑南遗址是台湾目前在研究上非常仔细的，可以去了解从文化、从他们的生活行为、聚落形态，都展现出南岛文化特殊的样貌。在南岛语族里面，我们可以看到有家屋社会这样的文化脉络，每一个家户的房子它会毗邻而居，非常的贴近。 对一个空间的运用，先从种稻开始，然后埋葬，然后到家屋的建筑。
5000多年前，台湾首度出现陶器跟农业耕作的迹象，此一前所未有的新文化，考古学家们称之为大粪坑文化。
Dabenken culture is spread throughout the whole island of Taiwan and Penghu. After arriving in Taiwan, this new group of aborigines know how to cultivate and domesticate rice and millet. They also hunted animals, catched fish, shrimp, shellfish, and seafood. The aborigines of the Dabankan culture, which is also known in linguistics as the Austronesian-speaking peoples. These peoples, in addition to the linguistic distribution, through the study of jade, we can also observe the interactions of the oceanic civilizations at that time. A large number of exquisite Taiwanese jade products and materials across the ocean, across the crucial, spread to many different islands in Southeast Asia. While jade was exported from Taiwan, foreign glass beads, and the knowledge of making ironware also flowed into Taiwan through the ocean, linking Taiwan's marine network. The east coast of Taiwan has been rich in jade culture for more than 3,000 years. A large number of jade with many distinctive designs were excavated from the Beinan Cultural Park. The sophisticated scale of craftsmanship is amazing in Taiwan's prehistoric culture.
我们可以看到很多台湾所产的玉出现在各个不同南岛语族文化的范畴里面，
所以当时就有可能来自台湾的玉作为一种交易的货物。
对，那其中有一项是菱形玉串石，这是非常特别的。我们看这个玉串石非常的小哦，它的长只有0.6公分，厚的地方是0.3，最薄的地方连1个mm都不到。然后在上面还有有一个钻孔。最特别的是，洪小纯曾经在菲律宾也发现一颗就长相一模一样的这样的菱形玉串石，它应该是跟台湾有非常直接的关联性。
In 2008, the National Museum of Prehistory in Taitung received a donation of more than 20,000 pieces of Austronesian artifacts from Japanese collector Iwasa Yoshichika. Iwasa spent many years studying the Austronesian cultures of Oceania. In his later years, he donated a large collection and research records to research institutes in Taiwan, returning artifacts to the land of the Austronesian.
岩佐嘉兴先生，他其实从1960年代到1980年代这30年间，其实是他非常大量在太平洋做田野调查的时间。大部分的捐赠品都是一些工艺用品、生活用具，或者说一些特殊的仪式用具。比如说像下面可以看到这个木雕，它其实就是蛇木制造，材质是蛇木，这可能就是某一种精灵或是主灵的一个像。在树皮布的部分，因为树皮布有非常多不同的大小、尺寸跟它的图案都不同。 所以岩佐先生他捐赠给我们的树皮布，就让我们可以去持续做跟树皮有关的研究。
And in this collection of artifacts, there are many bark artifacts made from paper mulberry, which interested botanist 钟国芳。
在17、18世纪，西方人刚到太平洋的时候呢，太平洋的人是没有纺织品，绝大多数人就是树皮布。 太平洋的构树有一个很特别的地方，就是说他们的构树并不是用种子繁殖，它的繁殖是靠无性繁殖的。所以就显然它是被人类迁徙带进去的，对不对？构树这个植物，在台湾，如果熟悉植物的人就知道，这是台湾非常常见的，
到处都看到，
到处都可以看到。所以我们就想说，如果我们能够知道太平洋构树是从哪边来的话，那就可以回答，构树是从哪边传播出去，这就可以回答南岛语迁徙的一些很本质上的问题。
In addition to collecting samples in Taiwan, China, mainland Southeast Asia, Japan, and the Philippines, Zhong Guofang and his research team also traveled to Oceania, Eastern Canada, Fiji, Samoa, Easter Island, and Hawaii to collect samples of the paper mulberry. In total, over 600 samples of the paper mulberry were collected and their DNA were analyzed. Paper mulberry is plant. The chloropast in the cell has a set of genome that is independently inherited between generations. If a mutation occurs, it will be inherited to the next generation. By comparing the different paper mulberries, we can infer the order of mutation at each site. After comparing samples from different locations and their mutations accumulate in the chloropast genome, it was found that samples from all over Oceania are derived from the paper mulberry in Taiwan. Integrating the concept of biology, geography, and genetics, we can conclude that the paper mulberry in the South Pacific originate from Taiwan.
在这个 DNA 的序列，我们给它一个编号叫17。这10P 在太平洋地区是主要的一个基因型。那我们后来在跟其他地方的比对，就发现这个17除了太平洋之外，全世界只有台湾有。除了台湾跟太平洋以外，其他地方都没有17。所以我们那时候这个研究就提供南岛语族出台湾一个植物学上一个非常清楚的一个证据。
From the linguistic analysis of the language family, the archaeological research on Taiwan jade, to DNA genetic analysis, by botanists. It presents a picture of a world that is very different from what we have known. From the perspective of the sea and as a member of the Austronesian, our relationship to New Zealand, Hawaii, and other South Pacific communities is much closer than we thought.
岛是船，海是路，南岛语族从台湾出发，传播到各地，与各地的血缘与文化融合，一度成为全世界分布范围最大的语系，也是最善于远洋航行的文化。台湾不止400年史，台湾作为南岛语族的原乡，是欧亚大陆东方的终点，也是离开大陆朝向海洋的起点。这是一个海洋国家的全新视野。